Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ, and I am joined by Mr. Will. And tonight we are coming to you with another Christopher Nolan movie. Tonight we are talking about The Prestige. So, if this is your first time listening, welcome to the experience. If you've been listening to us for the last couple of, I guess, over a year now, thank you very much for this. For the last month, we've been doing Christopher Nolan movies. We started with Memento. Last week, we did Inception, probably one of Christopher Nolan's greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, we are doing The Prestige. So, it's been a journey going through Christopher Nolan movies. Like, we've been hitting them out the park in terms of the popcorn ratings on this. I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking about this movie tonight. Just a quick heads up. This month we are doing a raffle. And so we are working with Mr. Cassim George, an awesome photographer. And you can find his work on Instagram at KIG Photos. He's doing a raffle with us where if you subscribe to our channel during the month of January and like one of our videos, we will enter you into a raffle, and at the end of the month we will select one person to do a photo shoot with Mr. Cassim George. If you're looking at the screen right now, you've probably seen a couple of his pictures, which I'm showing on the screen, so
great
you get
work.
an idea of what the work looks like, what you're getting. So you're getting a cut rate photography thing. This isn't entry level. This is the high stakes photography world right here. And Mr. George is being so generous as to offer a free photo shoot to the person that wins the raffle. Only condition being is that you have to be able to visit the Prince George's County, Maryland area. Once again, to be entered into the raffle, you need to subscribe to our show and like one of our videos between January 1st and January 31st. We've already had a lot of people subscribe as a result and share, and we appreciate that as well. And hopefully the content is what keeps you here and keeps you engaged and coming back. With that said, I'm going to just formally introduce my main man, Mr. Will. Mr. Will, how you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just we had a nice little laugh here before we got started.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm vibing. I'm in a good place, and this will be a fun movie to talk about, man.
Yeah, and shout out to Cassim, man. Like, pictures are dope. There's one lady, I believe, that had like the mustard colored dress.
Yeah, beautiful shot.
I don't know if that's like turquoise or like cadet blue or aquamarine, but whatever that chair is, that color is dope amongst that backdrop. Shout out to that. Then we had the one brother in the champagne suit. I gotta get me some of that. That joint was tight. And even the other young lady who's on there too, man. Like the colors the colors are vibrant, popping, and like her complexion and her skin tone complement the background. Like, shout out to him. Appreciate his contribution and partnering with us on that joint. Like CJ mentioned, man, we had a great laugh. Shout out to CJ, man. This dude is the master killer when it comes to jokes, man. He and a couple of our compatriots, I always tell them brothers that they are the new kings of comedy, because that triad, man, them dudes is funny, man. They are funny. And then
we more like Dave Chappelle and the Hater Crew, basically. That's what we're more like that.
Speaking of which, shout out to Dave, man. His appearance last night on SNL. Yo, that joint was funny.
It was funny. Dave has no rules, man. Dave smokes a cigarette, curses. Really did like 3 skits in the whole show, man. He really does his thing. Sometimes Saturday Night Live will make a person do SNL.
Conform.
He makes SNL do Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's real talk. I mean, and the fact that he said in his opening monologue that, there's certain topics that are too controversial to touch or too fresh of a wound, and he did it anyway. Masterclass, man.
Yeah, true comedy. True comedy, man.
Definitely shout out. And then last but not least, that's the part. Nothing is off limits, man. I'd like to think we kind of incorporate that in a more PG-13 at the highest rank means. So definitely shout out to CJ once more. And then last but not least, with the fact that we're doing all these Christopher Nolan joints, it made me revisit something out of the archives, rapper out from Jersey City by the name of Ransom, who
Okay, New
has
Jersey.
yeah, he has a couple of EPs and albums entitled Director's Cuts 1 to 4, and they've actually touched upon some of the movies that CJ and I have already done, covered, discussed. You know what I mean? So it's nice to see other people in sync with the same train of thought that we have.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope, man. I mean, the thing about the movies is like it just brings people together. You know, like
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I love going to movie theaters. Like you're just in a theater with all these people just going through the same experience. And I love like when something is so good that people leave the theater and they still want to talk about it
Word.
just randomly with people. Like, yeah, that's definitely where that is, man. And this is one of those kinds of movies, right? So the Prestige is like it's one of those ones that if you find somebody that watched it, you talk with them
Yep.
about it, man. So
Agreed.
this will be a good one, man.
And this is one of CJ's picks, by the way. So shout out once more to CJ, man, because I hadn't seen this joint since 2006, man. Like when I went to the theaters to actually like sit down and enjoy it, and I had forgotten just how good it was, and that it came out the same time as The Illusionist. So it was like
yes. How
bunch
about
of
that?
yeah, you know what I mean. So definitely, I appreciated revisiting this joint, man. I really had slept on this. Like I probably should have seen this maybe once more in the past, 19 years or whatever. So
how about that? All right, well, look, let's jump into the summary, man. Let's get into this, man. It's gonna be a good one, man.
So, The Prestige is a mustering, mind-boggling psychological thriller unraveling the chilling tale of two rival magicians in Edwardian London, weaving a spellbinding narrative of illusion and disillusion. Robert Englund, also portrayed by Hugh Jackman, and Alfred Borden, portrayed by Christian Bale, embark on a relentless feud after a tragic accident claiming Angier's wife. This cessation of trust fuels their obsession to craft the ultimate period piece magic trick, where only one can claim the prize of superiority. As the plot unfolds in a non-linear fashion, the lines between truth and deception blur, making the audience question every turn. Set against the backdrop of a time when magicians held the celebrity status of today's modern pop stars, Angier shines as the charismatic, superior showman, while Borden excels in conjuring jaw-dropping illusions. The Nolan brothers masterfully escalate the stakes, including and introducing the mind-boggling sci-fi element with Nikola Tesla's invention. Each man's spiritual emptiness becomes more apparent, further deepening their desperation and rivalry. The ultimate revelation that Borden is actually a twin serves as the shocking climax of their deadly game of one-upmanship.
There it is, man. There it is. So yeah, man, from the beginning, you're talking about like how this movie came out at the same time, around the same time as The Illusionist, right? One of the things that I remember, or I actually remembered from watching, is that this also comes out between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So like we talked about this, like Nolan is like this part of his thing, he's in his bag. Like Dark Knight, Inception, then he goes Interstellar. I mean, like he's cooking through this, man. The Prestige might be like, all the comic book heroes are in this joint. We got the Wolverine, Batman, Alfred, Scarlet Witch. Everybody's in this joint, man. And it's like it's like you said, like it's one of, like, I think that you're a good filmmaker when you can do all of these different types of films in all of these different periods, and they can still be interesting. Because like, when you mention Edwardian England or London, this is not a time period that I would be interested in.
No.
But telling this story about these, up and coming magicians, it made it like, oh, I want to pay attention to it. I want to see it. And I do appreciate all the costumes and, the way that everybody's dressed and the language and everything. This is a very well done film.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like the period piece aspect is very fascinating. Like, I love history. So the ability to go back through a time warp, a time machine without a time machine, if you will, and to revisit certain nuances about that period. The way that it's kind of like a fiction / nonfiction, the way they're able to incorporate the technology as well as Nikola Tesla and the battle between him and Edison, which is also very unique unto itself. I kindly suggest that if you are a true history buff, or even just for curiosity's sake, or to get background information on this movie, to actually revisit if for the if you have already gotten some knowledge because more has dropped, or for the first time, actually go and like get some information, get some knowledge on Tesla as well as Edison and their rivalry.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's also one of the things that helps to ground the movie
Yeah.
in like this idea of reality, because when you're talking about magicians, you're talking about magic, you're talking about illusion, right? So people kind of tend to approach the subject of magicians through some scrutiny or some skepticism.
Yeah.
But then like science, you don't. And um the way that Nolan blends the two in this movie, like science and then science fiction and then magic, is like so seamless that it makes you sort of question where one stops and one ends. Because like as you said in the beginning, you know, there's all this thing around the idea of the transported man and like how do you do that? And there's the magical way. And then later on in the film, you know, Tesla introduces like this highly scientific, although improbable way of creating another version of the transported man.
You know, it's weird. Like I know that the battle of the alternating current and Tesla's current was like a major thing, and that there's different means by which electricity is prevalent, such as in the human body, a la the Matrix, which we covered already. You know, static cling or static electricity and things of that nature. However, the way that and I'm using this term loosely, creative license to say that this machine could help with the cloning process.
Cloning process.
Wow.
Yeah, it's out there. It's way out there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, you go to the movie to suspend reality. I love that usage in there. And I definitely think it was skillful the way by which it caused skepticism. Because, you know, people, they doubt what they don't know or what they can't comprehend. And they definitely don't trust as someone saying that they can do something that is unforeseen. And the way that, and shout out, rest in peace, rest in paradise to David Bowie, who like really immersed himself in the character of Nikola Tesla, who happened to be like the Jiminy Cricket. You know, like he really is that magical person who says like, I can do the impossible yet drop knowledge about something that, you know, is common sense, if you will. I think he really did a great job, and the skillful usage by which he was utilized is also a tremendous feather in the cap of the Nolan brothers.
Yeah. And I mean, like Bowie's portrayal of Tesla, he plays it as a person who knows much more than he's willing to say. And that what he's not willing to say, he's concerned about how it's going to be used.
Yeah.
So even when he tells Angier, like, don't even use this, like, just leave, give this up, because I know what's going to happen to you in the end. It's like, you can tell that he's like a weathered person, and the characters played perfectly in there. The other thing you talked about, like just how the story is constructed, what Nolan does is, you know, he sets the stage, he sets the rules. Like from the very beginning, they walk you through like the steps of the Prestige, right? So they walk you through that, and then he sets the tone and the stage for like, these are the rules of how magic works, because he gives you that inner working of showing you all the gadgets and the tricks and the games, right? And then you end up in this end point with Tesla where he's doing something they really don't even explain how it works, right? And even Tesla's like, sometimes this works one way, sometimes we're a completely different way. But it's like, I like the fact that that while Nolan creates this world, he creates these rules. He puts you in the rules so you understand it, but he's not bound by it in such a way that it limits the capability of the storytelling.
You know, and that's a credit to him as well, understanding his limitations, understanding what it is that he does well, and honing in on that. So his usage of nonlinear depictions of the characters in the storytelling process, even though he replicates that in the movies we've covered up to date thus far, he uses it in a way that it's not exactly the same. So the way he used it in Memento is not the same as in this movie or even in Inception. So it's like really tight how he does that. I love the usage of the cinematography, because when you're in this movie, in this realm, where they go step by step of the process of Angier, Hugh Jackman holding the cage like this and not seeing the blades, but then going back and showing how the apparatus is applied to his person and then the blade underneath. Or even when the little boy says, "Oh, he killed his brother," like even the mom did, and the symbolism behind that, where it's so simplistic, even a child could see, but because adults have gotten older, they've grown more skeptical, they've lost that childlike quality. There's like a double entendre in and that's not hyperbole. Every scene, there's a double entendre. Oh, you two deserve each other. coming from the woman who's with both of them, as well as ironically with the twin. Like, it's real crazy how it all evolves. And yet at the same time, simultaneously, we already are prepared for some type of like suspense, but we don't know what it is. So we're always on the edge of our seat, dangling, almost like he was, or rather the drunkard at the on the stage, hanging by the rope and tied up and knotted up.
The movie's like a big long magic trick, right? Because you want to see, because like in the end, like you want to see, well, what is actually happening with the Tesla machine. Like you don't actually see it until the very, very end. Like I said, the Prestige is, I have to show you, I have to bring it back to show you and see if you were really looking at it. I also like the dichotomy of like the idea of what the difference between magicians and wizards. Like magicians have to get their hands dirty. Wizards can do what magicians can't, right? So like Tesla is a wizard, Angier and Borden are magicians. Like they have to figure out how to make stuff, but he actually does it. And he doesn't think himself as a wizard, he's a scientist. And there's like just the idea of like where magic and science kind of overlap is just very interesting in the story.
And how many movies have we discussed where it's been like, no, and Thor comes to mind, where it's been like, oh no, science and magic are the same thing. And then they've called, I don't know if you've ever seen this diagram where it's been like dinosaurs, and then it's told by different cultures as far as how do you get to a dragon. So you have like this lizard that escalates to a Tyrannosaurus, and then all of a sudden, you have a dragon. The other thing too is that they called Thomas Edison the Wizard of Menlo Park. For those that don't know, Menlo Park's in New Jersey. Edison is credited with the most patents for inventions, even though it's later come out that he was a thief and stole almost every patent from somebody else or bullied them, as told in the events of this science fiction thriller. I think the fact too that it's ironic that Tesla says, look, I know where obsession gets. They only allow you 2 things. I've already exceeded my amount, and I had to bow out gracefully and come out here to the remote regions of Colorado Springs. And he says to him, but this is going to be my undoing. So he's like the telepath who can see into the future and knows like this is my fate. But at the same time, a la Red Skull, when he's talking about the Spirit Stone, like, hey, this doesn't have to be you. This is the sacrifice that's called upon. Are you willing to pay that price? And of course, I'll do everything until it's too late. And then all of a sudden you have that woulda, coulda, shoulda moment.
Yeah. The Edison Tesla beef is like the Borden and Angier beef, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's why Tesla's trying to give him a heads up. Like, don't just let him go, man. Like, you good. You got nice clothes. Like, you good, man. You good. You got a little limp, but it's distinguished. Like, just go do your thing, man. But nah, he's committed to the game, man. He's just like, Angier is 10 toes down to his own detriment.
And that's the funny thing too, because, as we talked in the pre-production meeting, the same thing that is your blessing can also be your curse. So I use the symbol of Kobe Bryant, where he was seen as an obsessive individual, where it's become marketed as Mamba mentality. And he's become more beloved in death, unfortunately, as he was when he was alive. And I find it very ironic because, Michael Jordan, who's basically the model or the inspiration to which Kobe derived all this from, he is at one point in time found himself in the same predicament, but he's managed to maneuver it. And I think it's because of shoes. So they've managed to find some other alternative vehicle to actually distract the public to get their attention on this. For the longest it was Michael Jordan Michael Jordan sells to everyone because Republicans buy shoes too. But then it was, he helped out Mahmoud Rauf at the time when nobody else was willing to do that. He stood up for, other causes behind the scene by making donations to, for example, Spike Lee's movie Malcolm X, where these things weren't really publicized.
Yeah. So you're saying that's the turn.
That's the turn.
From Mike, that was the turn.
Yeah, that's the turn.
I got it.
Yeah.
And then the Prestige is all these people wearing these Jordan sneakers. The Prestige is where they can sell you sneakers now in 2025 that came out in 1988 at a 200% markup from the cost that we bought them at.
They are literally about to release the Retro One 1985, and the thing about it was the original design team didn't have they didn't leave behind the blueprints or the actual outlines of the schematics of the shoe, so they literally had to do imaging from a diagnostic standpoint as far as how the shoes are made up. And now this shoe that one time cost $55 is now going to be sold for $250 in the coming months. I use that example to say this. When Angiers is like, hey, where's my hat? And Nikola Tesla says, these are all your hats. Well, how many times has a Retro 1 shoe been released since 1985? And now all of a sudden you could pick up that same shoe that's about to release, but with some type of different modifications. And you sit there and you ask yourself, well, where's my shoe? And this shoe has been in everything from the Terminator all the way to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, there it is, man. Yeah. The replication. That's, like you said, that's the prestige, man. That's the prestige. I mean, it's I also like the idea of like how Borden and Angier, like, they hone their craft by studying other magicians.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in the film, like when they follow the Asian guy who's holding the bowl between his legs, and it's like, but the point of that is to show you, like, over and over again, the commitment to the craft that's necessary in order to become great at it. And it's like Borden and Angier, what separates them is Borden understands that from the beginning, and then you learn, like, through the course of the movie, how much he's really about that life. whereas Angier is almost kind of looking for the shortcut. Like he's more of like oh, you did it that way, I see how you did it, I'm about to take what you did and did it better. Whereas Borden is like oh, I see how they did it, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try to uplift the art form, for lack of a better term.
You know, and that's the thing too. I think that you have to have, as the saying goes, I don't have a lifetime to replicate the mistakes of those that came before me, so I'm going to piggyback off of them. So I think it's ingenious on Angier's part that he did that, but at the same token, he never gave credit to Borden. He was as you reminded me, he wasn't just jealous, he was envious. And I think the fact that you know, Borden played the rube or the straight man to his jokester. You know, for the longest, you know, he didn't want the spotlight. He was dumbed down. He was very plain, matter of fact. And then he realized, I have something on my hands here too. I can excel at this too. And you know what? I'm just going to go for mine. I think the thing that complicates matters is the death of his wife, Angier, that is. And thus, you know, you have this vengeful, you know, Rafe coming back to try and, you know, basically seek retribution. And I would have been cool with that if it wasn't for the fact to the extremes by which both gentlemen go to say like, hey, I'm not going to kill you. That's too easy. I'm going to maim you and let you live with this guilt.
Yeah. They get into a blood feud with each other. And that really is the real obsession of the film.
Yes.
Like, at some point, they're not even about, I want to be the best magician.
No.
And like you said, the envy is for both of them. They want to be good, but they also want the other person to be embarrassed. So whether that's like, you know, Angier shoots off Borden's fingers, and then Borden comes and snaps up the box with the bird in it on Angier, and then, you know, Angier buries Borden's brother alive, and then Angier messes up the transportive manager. They're just going back and forth in this like petty destructive battle with each other, and the audience is along for the ride. And I know, like, there was some irony that you had identified in that you wanted to, like, kind of share.
I think the thing too, before we even get into that, is the creative usage by which those two individuals go to the extremes that they do. So Cutter
is very planned out.
Like Cutter realizes that if we utilize the deception and the lust to get revenge in a creative way, maybe this will smooth out over time. Because he tells them, you know, obsession is a young man's game. So it harkens back to the scene where Fallon sees Angier following Borden, and Borden sees Angier preceding him going on the walk and says, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to get in the carriage. I'm going to go for, why toy with him like that? But Angiers anticipates that whole thing. So when he dips into the alley, Cutter's in the cut, and he gets him in the box. But at the same time, Fallon flips out the little mini, you know, dual pistol, shoots through, and then they say, now you saved me time from putting in a breathing hole apparatus for you. And then when he buries him, it fast forwards to the scene where they're having dinner and such. One, this is crazy, because how you got your mistress coming to meet your wife, but that's a whole nother thing in itself. But then on top of, he says, even like in between that, I just got inspiration for another idea because something so close to me, something I cherished almost was taken from me. So he was on the cusp of letting his wife know about the secrets.
My brother's life. Yes.
But he managed to flip that into his next trick, which is being buried alive and escaping from that. That is, levels upon levels upon levels.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the point about the different sentiments I wanted to convey to the audience about the different types of irony. So irony is present throughout this movie. You have situational, twist, and you have dramatic. So dramatic is basically another literary device where an individual character he goes through something, he expresses it in a way that it is contrary to what actually exists, and it's a substantial amount of that character's development. So the audience knows that Borden is actually played by two brothers. Like, we're in on the secret while we're watching all this. But unbeknownst to everybody else, with a few exceptions and caveats, you have that. So it's ironic that they're able to pull off all these twists, but nobody ever seems to think, oh, he just has a twin brother, or there's a doppelganger, or someone that looks like him.
Except for Cutter, who from the very beginning is like, he's using a dog.
and
so simple.
And Angier is like, nah, that's too simple. That can't be.
Too simple.
But it's like Sherlock Holmes said, like, once you eliminate everything that is even no matter how preposterous it is, the thing that's left, that's what it is. So
it's elementary at that point.
Yeah. So it's just like, wow, why? And then when he's thrust, like, to actually deal with it in his face on his deathbed, he's like, I don't know why I could. He's left befuddled, where he's like, I don't even know why I couldn't even recognize this.
Yeah.
And then the next part is like just the situational irony. You know what I mean? Like, you have this thing that occurs, an outcome or a situation, but it's the opposite of what is expected and considered appropriate. So, you have the part where the brothers take their deception, very seriously, where they're cutting off with now this is a worker's tool, mind you, this is a chisel, where you're, and he literally, he hits the bottle one time, his brother holds him down, and the both of them, and then it flashes to, hey, it's bleeding, just Sarah says, just like on the first day. And here the audience is thinking like, you know what? Maybe he got an infection, or maybe he did something that opened up the wound and didn't heal properly. So your mind goes to the worst case scenario, and it doesn't even seem for you to be like, oh, it's the brother, the commitment to pulling this off. And even when it's hinted about, where Olivia's like, hey, you know what? The level of commitment, you should wear that with a badge of honor. I looked at it, I examined it, and no one else seemed to think of it like, hey, the two brothers, this is how they get down. And mind you, just to go back for a minute, another example of the dramatic irony is Angier believing that Tesla built this machine for Borden, and that's not the case. Even when Angier is sent to Colorado, no, it's just a means to get you out of the country. So
no, it's true. Yeah.
So I thought that was really dope. And then, of course, the ending is the twisting irony, where, I don't even want to touch upon that because it's so obvious. The thing that I want to touch upon is the bullet pierces Angier, and Angier's name means piercing. So like literally his flesh is pierced.
Clever etymology.
Yeah. And you got to start thinking like an angler, meaning a fisherman. He's using the bait and everything. So, and he's coming from a different angle. So like just his name is utilizing all this in the end of the movie. So he's sitting there, and eventually when he fades to black, the fire consumes him, meaning he went to hell. So the fire is whatever. But then in the backdrop, you see all these clones, these replicants, and rather than a test tube, they're drowning in water. So you have the amalgamation and the antithesis of one another, the yin to the yang. And then you have Borden, who's also there. And mind you, Borden's name also is one about not only planks and bordering up and hiding and keeping secrets and sheltering himself off, closing himself off from his wife, who's supposed to be in on the secret, which is also kind of ironic from a heterosexual standpoint, where, wives hiding things from their husbands, supposedly, where the husbands don't recognize what's going on. But he's also closed himself off from the world. He could have had true love and happiness, but he didn't want it. He could have been content with where he was at because he had everything. He was successful on multiple fronts. But again, he decided to close himself off from his emotions and who he was as a man.
Borden's on. Yeah. So I got questions about Borden at the end, so we'll go to that. But yeah, let's go into the cake. I know there's a lot of stuff that we talked about
Yeah.
that we really just dealt with about this. I'm just gonna jump into a couple of things that I liked real quick. You talked about the wife and just the wife's character, that's Sarah
Sorry.
and Olivia and their relationship with him. I like that Sarah and Olivia both know that Borden isn't just one person.
It's crazy.
And I'm gonna extend some grace to them that they understand it, but it's like it's such a crazy kind of situation that I like that they both kind of pick up on it, and I really like what they do with Sarah, like the way that he says "I love you." Like I know when you really mean it, and when you don't really mean it,
Yeah.
and it's because it's a different one. I always thought that was just a clever part in there. I also like how the movie advances by both men reading each other's journals. And the
Yo.
last page where they reading it, like, yeah, I
I
see
do.
you.
Yeah.
You're sitting in their jail cell right now. Reading this.
Both of them,
I
man.
got you. You I like how they do that. That's like that's just funny to me because like you see Borden looking around
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you know I'm in this
yeah.
jail.
And the same thing with Angier. He's like, how did he
Yeah.
know that I was in?
How
I
do you
was
know
in.
I'm there gonna be here in
Yeah.
Colorado? Yeah.
Oh, that was
No,
crazy.
I like that. I like that. And then I just also like how they show like these two guys just going different ways about it. Like
Mm,
Borden, like I said, Borden is so committed to the craft that he's willing to live his life,
hmm
splitting his life up with another brother, and neither of them get to live a full life. Like that commitment is, insane. But you
Yes.
also gotta say, like, man, you're committed. And Angier is like willing to travel the world and burn up all this money and all this kind of stuff.
Money ain't a
But
thing.
they're committed to their craft, man. So I just like the way that they do that. And I like that the movie doesn't give you like any obvious protagonist.
Mm,
Like it would be easy to try to make one guy good, one guy
yeah.
bad, but the writing allows you to see kind of both guys and both of their faults, and like you can kind of judge both of them equally.
Yeah, and it's tight the way that they intermingle. Like they come together, but even when they're apart, they're still together. Like
They're
they're
still
still
together,
on
yeah,
each other's mind and things like that.
yeah,
I thought that was dope.
rent free. They're
Yeah,
living
rent
rent free in
free.
each other's head, in each other's heads. Yeah.
And the joint kind of reminds me of a Dave Chappelle skit too, man, where it's like, not just the player hater joint and these dudes are going back and forth hating on each other, but it also reminds me of the fact that what you were talking about when one dude is sitting there and they didn't live a full life and they're twins or whatever. It's like the Splitting Houses, the joint where Dave he plays Tyrone, no, not Tyrone. I forget the guy's name. He looks like Samuel L. Jackson. He lives with the white family.
Oh, when they did the
And
white swap
yeah, the
thing,
wife swapping joint.
yeah,
Where he's like, oh, you better switch your tone, woman. Like
yeah,
just
yeah,
that, just the like trying to get inside the minds of how the other person lives, et cetera, et cetera. Like that
mm-hmm.
joint really appealed to me on a multitude of fronts. But you also mentioned certain things too, where you labeled this joint, basically the original rap beef,
Yeah.
where
Get beefed out, man.
yeah,
Get beefed out. All they needed was Hot 97.
or WBLS or whatever it turned
Right,
into.
right, right.
But the joint that's crazy to me is that like this is about self-destruction. And I started thinking about rap beef and I started thinking about the song Self-Destruction that came out like what was it, 89, 99? No, excuse me, 1990. And then I started thinking about Proverbs 16:18, where it says, pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And then there's
Yep.
then shortened it before pride cometh before the fall.
Before fall, yeah.
But the point being is that these dudes were so possessed by their ego and driven by that it became madness. And that was the reason why they both suffered severe losses, not only on a personal level as far as like a loved one, but also internally. So I love that part. I love the fact that this is all about basically this labyrinth of deception, to the lengths that these guys would go to in order to get around not only the audience but also to themselves, their loved ones. And it was I think encapsulated by when Olivia meets with Borden and Borden's like, yo, look, I love you, I just like my wife, I love my daughter, and what with you I want to be. And she's like, you know what, I could see myself being talked about in this manner with you talking to another woman. And then the thing that really put the nail in the coffin is her saying, you two deserve each other. And that point I was like, wow, Imagine being able to really stand on business and be able to deliver something like that, deadpan, straight face, and knowing that, you know what, I have no regrets because what I'm saying is factual.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Nice. That's the anything else you got cake wise?
Man, cake wise, I think we've covered it to death, whether it be just the depth of the movie itself, the craftsmanship, which is ironically told in the show. I mean, like, I think we covered it, man. Like, everything about this joint is dope.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a smoking movie, man.
Yeah.
I know the last couple of weeks we haven't had anything in the hate section, man. But you know, the inner hater in me, like, just had to put something out this week.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna have nothing next week. So a couple of things. Yo, I like Angie. Yo, Angier, I think if I was rooting for somebody, I was rooting for Angier. So I was mad that he got killed in the end, but he took it too far. He took it too far by trying to take the dude's daughter. Like, that was like when he did that, I was like, all right, you earned these bullets that you got. Man. But I was rooting for Angier. I would have liked to see him come out on top. He didn't, so be it. But when Angier gets killed, and you mentioned to it before, that must be the slowest bullet of all time, because like Angier dies, like it takes him longer than Yoda at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like, he goes through the whole thing. You didn't know how much we like to see the look on your face. Like, dude, just die, man. Like, come on, he shot you. Like, they have this deathbed conversation,
but
Gordon just stand there looking at him like, when is this dude gonna die? Like,
I mean, but to the credit, historically, it's pretty accurate, because musket balls, they weren't like regular bullets, man. So like,
no, I understand. It was such long exposition.
Yeah,
like,
I dig it though, because you
just died, man.
You are waiting for the other hand, but just
I thought he was gonna shoot him again and speed it up. Like,
yo, just die seems so cold though, fam.
And then the last thing is, and you alluded to it a little bit, I really like Scarlett Johansson's Olivia character in this movie, and I thought that it would have been great if there would have been like a scene somewhere where like her and Cutter are talking, and she's like, you know, it's two of them, right? And Cutter's like, yeah, I've been knowing that. I've been trying to tell Angier that for the last 6 months. You don't believe me? Like, something like that. I just think that like her character and her and Cutter are the only ones that really know what's going on, and they know both men. And it would have been interesting to see, like, from the perspective of people in the movie, and analyzing both people, what they both thought about the two, because neither of them is, well, Cutter is never really clear about kind of just what he thinks about how both of them are going.
I think he does though, man. Like, I think when he's complicit in kidnapping Fallon, and then at the same time when he arranges for Jessica to get reunited with the father.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But at the same token, Cutter is a piece of garbage too, because this dude is like, yo, let's take it there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about that smoke. Let's roll on these dudes. But at the same,
well, I mean, they were messing up his money at that point too.
See what I'm saying? Yo, when you playing with my money, you playing with my emotions.
I mean, he's old. I mean, they're messing up his money, but they're messing up all Angier's tricks. They're messing up his ability to eat now.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. Like, yo,
he's collateral damage in that situation.
And at that point, he's like, yo, anything goes. It only gets to the point where he's like, nah, I'm a chill, is when he catches a stray. And he's like, yo, you know what? This is a young man's game. I can't go with you to North America. Yeah. Like, I'm out at this point. And then he gets his feelings hurt like a little girl, where he's like, yo, you know what? I want to hold on to this machine. Nah. Lord, what's his face? I can't. Cordlow is like, nah. He left explicit instructions for that machine. He's like, but if you happen to run into him, that's like, yo, word? Oh, okay. Yeah. So he intentionally waits for him, and to his dismay, he's like, yo, I was going to appeal to you, but now I'm like, yo, you could get it. That's when he betrays him, and he gives Borden the information, like, yo, he's going to be here at this time, this date, get him.
Well, look, in the end, Alfred and Batman are going to get rid of Wolverine. I mean, like, in the end, that makes sense. Like, I get that.
Yo, that is so ill. I
understand. They're going to work together. Like, they've been, like, that's Alfred and Batman. They're going to work together to take Wolverine down.
Which is crazy, because in the comics, Wolverine really did have a thing with Black Widow. And then all of a sudden, Black Widow's like, yo, you know what? Oh, you want to send me? You want to see these hands? Okay, I'll just get somebody else to do it. It's like,
one of the best comic book films ever. The Prestige, one of the best comic book actor films of all time.
They managed to even throw in Golem in the joint, yo.
The Golem, yes.
Think about that.
No, What's his name? Who played the dude? Yeah, right. Who
Andy
played the
Serkis.
guy?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
played.
Andy Serkis, who played the dude who killed King T'Chaka.
Yeah, man. Evil. Playing Claw like that, man.
Yeah, Claw, man. He's Claw. Check
No, that's
that out. Oh
crazy.
no, I'm sorry, because King T'Chaka was actually killed by the Winter
Yeah.
Soldier. So,
But either way, I get what you're
well,
saying.
actually, he was killed by Baron Zemo,
Yeah.
pretending to be the Winter Soldier. I don't want my comic book movie credit to be messed up, so I
Oh,
want to make
nah.
sure I
We
clarify.
already know you. We already know you certified, man. Get out of here.
Thank you. I just, just in case the haters come. All right, man. Yo, let's get into the questions, man. All right, I got a couple of questions for you.
All right, let's get it.
All right, so this is should Angier have just killed Borden after the bird trick, after he messed up his bird trick?
Oh, you know what? This is a dope question because I was like, from other than apparent reasons where it's like, yo, you kill him, the movie's over. But it's like, yo,
yeah, I know, yeah.
What's worse than death, man? Like having to live with the memory of the things you coulda, shoulda, woulda, but didn't do, of the sacrifices and the regret and the torment and having to live that and the punishment you inflict upon yourself. So I think you make them live with the pain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I say is the when I was watching it, I was just like, man, the way these dudes are going, eventually one of them is gonna kill you.
One of them has to go.
Right? And like, if I would had done all this dirty stuff to somebody, I wouldn't be like, I would expect them to come after
yeah,
me.
definitely.
Like I would, as you know, like how they say, like, if you're gonna crush your, like 40 laws of power, crush your enemy totally. Like you don't crush your enemy enough for them to come back after you. So I was just like, all right, why didn't he come after me? All right. Here's my next question. Do the brothers know which of them is actually the real father of the daughter?
Yo, this is nasty work, yo. First of all, wow. To keep it PG, I feel like this is a Maury Povich,
How about it?
like type
who's
of
the daddy?
Yeah.
Who's the Maury paternity test jerk?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I feel like this is just so like Jerry Springer-ish that it's just nasty. And then to know that Sarah was like, I'm going to tell him. And he's like, don't you tell anybody. Like she knew too. So she's allowing two dudes to do this thing to conceive. Like,
so you're promising. So you're saying like they're both actually sleeping with.
Yes. I think
Sarah.
I think everybody is sleeping with everybody. Everybody. It's like Dave Chappelle said, like, wow, this is a bad way to find out. Yeah. He's like, yo, it's a bad way to find out that you ugly. Well, yeah. Like, you know what? Cutter, you're ugly.
That's funny. All right. So that's that one. All right. Why did Angier want to do 100 nights of the show?
Yo, I really honestly believe that the number 100 is a standout number. It's 3 digits long. It pops out. I think the fact the significance behind it is century, $100. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is like, wow, a limited time engagement. And I can go during this period. So it gives him time to like lull Borden into sleep. Like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'll be here. If you want to come get me, you got 100 opportunities.
I got you. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then last one. All right. So assuming that Borden or Fallon, whichever one, didn't go to jail and get hung.
Yeah.
What was their end game? Like, what was their end game for? Like, if none of that happened, what were they going to do in the long term?
Yeah, man. I honestly believe that they thought that it would never escalate to this far. Call it naivete, you know what I mean? So be it. But I really believe that they thought that they could get to a certain point where they hurt him just enough and then they get out. And that, hey, look, I was trying to break the glass. I was trying to get him out. I didn't set up which I don't understand how the judges didn't see this. The judge was like, oh, there's the lock.
Cordlow paid them off, man.
But it's like, come on, how is
money, man?
So Borden just happened to put in this big cage unbeknownst to everybody else while this is all going on. Oh no, it's magic. Really? Just happened to sneak in a whole cage? Get out of here, man.
Borden got railroaded, man. But Cordlow had that money, man. Cordlow bought the judges off.
Money talks.
But this is what I'm saying is this. So like, are Fallon and Borden just gonna live their whole lives pretending to be each other?
Yeah, I think that they would have been content. Like, hey, at half a life equals a total life, and if we live long enough, our halves will equal to a whole each. So they thought like, hey, they were doing each other a favor. We're inseparable. I mean, we've went to school with twins, and they basically were literally almost one person. Like they were undistinguishable, not from a physical standpoint, but because they had the same friends, they were in the same circles, they did the same things, they played the same sports, same teachers.
But these dudes are trying to be the same person.
Yeah.
They're
Well, you
doing
got
a
to
little,
think of it.
they're doing a little bit different. Like
No, because in the
they're
womb,
way off the rails on their thing.
no, but in the womb, they are literally one person, then they split. Whereas I've seen case studies where there, matter of fact, one comes to mind where there was this woman, she was really a twin, but however, the other twin was absorbed into her. So when she had children, the children weren't believed to be hers because it was a little bit different. And then all of a sudden, everyone's questioning whether or not this woman was really their mother. Come to find out when they did a little bit more research.
Really?
Yeah, man.
That sounds like a National Enquirer story. Right?
Ripley, believe it or not.
That's what it sounds like.
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Like. That's funny.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. What you got questions about?
All right, let's get it. What happens to Jessica Borden and Alfred, the Professor Borden / Bernard Fallon, at the end of the movie?
All right, so Jessica's the daughter.
Yep.
She's fine because she's gonna be with Borden. I think the one that is with her is her father.
Okay.
Like that one. So I think she's fine. I think they're good, man. First of all, they probably went back to Cordell's house, took the rest of his money,
wow,
and disappeared, man, and probably burned his house down.
Wow,
just for extra measure, they might have just lived in his house.
Wow, that's cool. Wow, that's cold-blooded, man.
That's how it is, man. That's how it is.
All right. Does Alfred tell Jessica what truly happened, including but especially the death of her mom? You think he comes clean?
Because I think no, because that's a lot for a child. I mean, like, if he were to tell her that,
maybe he tells her when she's older.
It ends with the mom having committed suicide, though. That's no. I think he probably told her that Angier killed him.
Oh, wow, that's wicked.
He probably told her that. He probably pinned it on Angier, man.
That's demonic.
Yo, dudes, they're about that life.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to kill their name before you kill their body. It makes sense.
Forever ops, man.
Yeah,
that's what it is, man.
Yeah, that's evil. Ooh, that is evil. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
That was bad business.
Are there any benefits to being selfish and obsessed? If so, do they outweigh the negatives?
So here's the thing, man. You talked about Kobe Bryant earlier, right? Kobe was, and it's interesting because like Kobe was obsessed with winning.
Yeah.
Right. And the number of people that were former Kobe Bryant like teammates that had all these negative things to say about the way that he went about that's real. Like to be Kobe Bryant, you have to be obsessed like that.
Yes.
You have to be great. Like you have to think about all I care about is doing winning this whole time. But there's a collateral damage effect to people that are close to you. And some people get that and they understand it. Maybe they're driven by that another way. But there's a lot of people who are going to feel like, yo, you could have been a nicer person. You didn't have to like disrespect me like that. You don't have to, walk into a team meeting and say, hey, some of y'all ain't going to be here tomorrow. Like, you don't have to do that stuff to people because like that's not like that level of greatness that you're pursuing or these two guys are pursuing in this movie. Very few people have that. And very few people have that for something that's as tangible as a championship or like those kinds of, I mean, like, you remember you saw the roast of Tom Brady and one of Kevin Hart's jokes is like, you want to sacrifice your whole family so you can go 8-9 and barely make the playoffs, but look what Tommy did. Though. Tommy was forced with like, yo, come home or go to practice. He went to practice because he's dedicated like that to the thing, but there's collateral damage. There's a collateral effect to that. I think if you want to be legendary in anything, then you have to be willing to sacrifice all the things. If you can do that, you'll make it. Yeah. But you will have sacrificed all the things.
Yeah, but at the same token, I think some of these people are wired differently in the sense that they lack social skills. Man, think about it. Kobe Bryant is a black man who lived in Italy for a long time, and he probably had to deal with stereotypes of what black people who live in America do, act, say. I think that he was also the only boy in his family. And on top of that, his father was a professional athlete. And most times children want to replicate what it is that their fathers do. Case in point, Austin Rivers, his father is Doc Rivers. Austin was All-American. He was a great player in college. He tells the story of how Brandon Knight was on his AAU team. And his coach intentionally put him in there so that he could learn discipline, dedication, commitment, excellence. So he says that he's sleeping on the top bunk, and all of a sudden he hears, all of a sudden he tries to step down. His feet are on the back of Brandon Knight. Come to find out, Brandon Knight is doing push-ups in the middle of basically the morning in total darkness at 3 to 4 in the morning. That is the level of commitment. However, for him to do that shows that he lacks social skills because people are sleeping. Why would you do that to someone you don't know? And then he goes out and he starts doing the dribbling skills, bouncing the ball hard so his neighbors hear it. I think that individuals who do that, a la Kobe Bryant, they just don't know. Think about the equivalent would be
I mean, that's an example. I hear the example, but I don't want to necessarily try to like
rationalize
label. No, I don't want to label like the pursuit of greatness as a deficit of character.
Okay.
Because I don't think that those two things have to be the same. About like people that max out are maxing out because that's what's in them. Like they've decided that this is what my purpose is. If this is what your purpose is, then you're going to pursue that 100%. And there's a lot of people who say like, yo, your purpose is why you're here.
Right.
If you're not doing that, then you're really dishonoring your reason for being in the world in the first place, right? And some people might be here to be a great father, and some people be here to, make robots. Like that might be what it is. If that's what you're here for, that's what you do, man. But I remember like so I was reading this book by Rick Rubin, right? And he talks about like, if you're a creative person,
I think I read this.
You have to be able to be creative whenever it strikes you.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, if you're like at dinner with your family and an idea for a song comes to your head, you get up from the table and you go and work on the song, right? Family got to sit there and eat dinner without you.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes like you're gonna miss the school play because you're working on this thing, you're painting this thing, whatever. Yeah. Like those people that are dedicated to that, I just think that there's something. I agree with you 100%. They're wired differently. But they're wired, like maybe they're mainline wired to whatever that purpose is.
That's fair. Next question is, what is the purpose of art? Should it be used for the sake of displaying craftsmanship, or is it the audience's enjoyment?
So think about what we're doing right now, right? We love talking about movies. Right. This is like, I think whenever you are creative, you are producing art, whatever that is. Song, dance, video, music, whatever. Like it's art. And I think you feel good through the creative process. So as long as you feel good about what you're creating, I think that there's always going to be people that are going to like it and there's going to be people who are not going to like it. But you don't really produce for the like. You're producing for what you like. And you're hoping that there's people on a similar curve with you. I think like that's like when you're producing for them or they or anyone outside you, that's the sellout. That's when you're selling out, because then it's like you're not making like what's authentic to you anymore. You're making what sells more, gets more likes or gets more hits or gets more whatever the thing is that people use to monetize or categorize their progress or success. But I don't think you can really do that, because like if me and you were doing this and the only thing we're thinking about is how can we do something that's going to get the most likes, this show would be completely different. We would talk different. We would talk about different things differently. The language might be different, the background, whatever. There's a way to do that, but we decide like our form of art is this. And I think like the true artists, they're doing what they want. And if you dig it, you dig it. Like the Jay-Z line, like, people on my old stuff buy my old albums. I'm not the same. He's not that same person anymore, right. You don't have to like it. Like Kanye West, like I would love for Kanye to do, late registration again, but he's not ever going to make late registration. Right? No. He's making like Donda. He's making Vultures and Vultures too. That's he's in his creative thing.
I dig it. My last question is, who is the worst character in the film and why?
This is a great question. This is a great question. So I'm going to take Angier, man. I like Angier. I want Angier to win, but Angier is he just goes too far, man. He's like, like I said, I'm riding with Angier until he decided to try to take the man's daughter. Once he did that,
that was too much for you.
That was too much. That was like, I get it. Like, you killed my wife. I took your finger. Like I tried to kill your brother. Like, I get all that. Fine. But the kids is off limits, man. Women and children is off limits. You can't mess with somebody's kids. So he's the worst because he could have just got out. Like he could have, like he had the means to just, I don't know where Angier's money comes from.
I think he's royalty because remember he's Lord.
The Lord Caldwell Jr.
Yeah, so he says I've always been Lord Caldwell.
Yeah, he's got the money. Like he don't have to play these games, man. So like, yeah, it's Angier for me.
That's interesting. Wow, that's really interesting. I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised you would say that because
who do you think I was going to say?
Honestly, I thought that you would have said all of them are evil. They're just different parts of the same person.
Okay.
I mean, because the level of just despoticness is off the hook. I mean, you got women knowingly sleeping with multiple individuals. You have married couples not being faithful to their vows. You have the, I guess he's a mentor, you know, basically encouraging the foul behavior. And then you have these two gentlemen where, like you mentioned in your own words, no women and kids. Well, all's fair in love and war. Once you took my wife, me taking you.
That was an accident. That was an accident.
He asked him repeatedly, what knot did you tie? I don't know. I don't know. Ain't cutting it.
He couldn't because it wasn't him. The one that he asked wasn't him.
And that's when he should have said, yo, I don't know. Or he should have had a conversation with his brother.
But that's what he said. He said, I don't know. And that's the problem.
No. He should have said, I don't know. I'll get back to you on it. I've been tormented. Or he should have just came clean. Like, yo, I don't know because, you know, it was my brother who did the
But then he would have flushed his whole commitment to his life down the toilet. Like that what he does on his off days, it almost, so this is something I'm even wondering about now. I wonder if they even tell each other what they do.
He should have
on their off days, man. Maybe what if they don't even tell each other?
That's evil. That's evil.
No, or it's the commitment to the thing.
No, because it's like, yo, hey, just so you know, your wife likes this new thing that I do, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Wait. But you know what? They don't tell each other. And I know why. And they don't. And the reason is, remember when the daughter is talking to him and she says, you said we would go to the zoo.
Yeah,
today.
I remember.
And he's like, oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
So they don't talk to each other about what they do.
Wicked.
So the brother so every time that Angier asked that question, he was asking the one who doesn't actually know.
And that's the reason why it gets you into trouble, whether it be with your child and not just in trouble, but it's the worst thing you could do because I'm trusting you with my life. The least you can do is extend the courtesy to fill me in on what you did.
Yeah.
So we can be congruent. If I'm going to chop off your fingers so that we both have the same hand, the least you could do is tell me what you did on a Saturday on March 1st.
Yes. Nah, they're but you're putting like Will. You're putting Mr. Will into the situation. This is Borden and Fallon. Borden, they're different. These dudes are willing to live half a life together. Now they're crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
What's the popcorn boxes, man?
We obviously bearing the lead on this, folks. I'm going with 5 all the way. For obvious reasons that I've said ad nauseum. What you got, CJ?
I got 4.5, man. And this is the thing. This is my caveat on it. So, you know, like I do have a tendency to weigh the movies against the other movies.
Okay.
Right? And having just watched Inception again and having watched Memento before that, I just feel like Inception is such a 5 and Memento is such a 5. This was a little bit different. It felt a little different. I'm going to give it 4.5. It could easily be 5. You know, it's a 4.5 adjustable 5. We'll put it like that.
That's fair.
It's an adjustable 5. And that's where I was.
That's fair. I could do it. I appreciate that.
All right. Here's with the summary, my brother.
Yeah, so in The Prestige, Christopher and Jonathan Nolan execute their most astonishing trick of all. They make us forget the towering figures before us. You know, Wolverine, Batman, Gollum, and David Bowie transforming Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Andy Serkis, and David Bowie into their complex, dark Victorian counterparts. The actors who we so often associate with larger-than-life persons disappear into the twisted world of obsession and illusion, revealing the monsters lurking within all of humans. The film's exploration of obsession is both captivating and chilling. The Nolans deftly pull back the curtain on the consequences of a life devoted to deception and rivalry. Their characters, blinded by self-glory and vengeful spirits, sacrifice love, happiness, and decency in pursuit of an elusive ideal. They maim, kill, and destroy not just their enemies, but themselves, all in the name of creating the perfect illusion. The movie's filled with relentless deception and sabotage and ensures that viewers are both satisfied and amazed by the mind-bending conclusion aptly named The Prestige. In the end, as the audience clings to the hope that something unknowable lies beyond this cruel world of deception, the movie asks a piercing question. What must a man give up to become the master of illusion? How much of his soul must he sacrifice to weave a web of lies so convincing, and in doing so, can he ever find redemption or love again? For the two men at the heart of this story, the answer is clear and devastating. In their climb to the top of the illusionist ladder, they lose not only their humanity, but their very ability to truly connect with another. In pursuit of greatness, they find nothing but emptiness, forever bound to the shadows of their own making.
There it is, man. There it is. So that's the wrap up on The Prestige. Once again, we are doing a raffle this month. So from January 1st to January 31st, if you subscribe to our channel and like one of our videos, you will be entered into a raffle to get a free photo shoot from Mr. Kasim George. You can find him on Instagram at KIG Photos. Check out his work. It's high quality, so you get an idea of what you'll be in for. Only condition is that you're able to come to the Prince George's County, Maryland area in order to go about that photo shoot. Next week, we are closing out our 4 weeks of Nolan movies with The Dark Knight.
Ooh, can't wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one, man. Perhaps his most famous movie that he's done. So we'll certainly enjoy talking about that one. Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify Podcasts. We're on YouTube as well. We want you to subscribe and like and share. And also comment. We've been getting a lot of really good comments lately. It's much appreciated. We try to read all those, respond to all those. We'll continue to do that. And as you make recommendations, we'll continue to implement those as well. Take it easy. Peace.